welcome to VRB episode 2. We've had a successful pilot episode, we've had a successful first episode, and now I'm hosting, so this is where it all comes crashing down. Thank you very much for joining us again. I am also joined by my lovely co-hosts in the form of Mr. Kev.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How's you?
I just lost a Pepsi Max bottle lid under my desk.
That is not a good thing to lose.
I'm afraid to go fishing for it while I'm on microphone.
This could go horribly wrong. See, I told you it was all going to come crashing down. And joining...
If you hear me technically dying, then it's yeah.
Okay, cool.
We know the cause.
Don't technically die, Kev. Don't technically die. And also someone who is technically die, Mr. Diarmuid.
It is me.
How are you, sir?
How are you? I'm good. Roasting hot, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, it is the perfect...
I found it. It's been a warm one.
Yes, quite warm in England at the moment, and a lot of the world, as it seems. Almost the whole globe is somehow warming. But yeah, like it's absolutely perfect weather, not only for a podcast, but for a podcast about VR, because it's the perfect weather for VR right now.
Yeah. Wearing headsets is ideal in this kind of climate.
You don't need a steam room or a sauna when you've got a VR headset to put on your face in this weather.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to use some of the more active games to actually get in shape at some point. I keep on saying that and not really doing it too much. But in this weather, that's a bit dangerous. Even like the sitting down games and just having things on. Like, we've played a couple of online games with each other in the past couple of weeks, and playing with a headset and headphones on at the same time is quite sweaty work at the moment, basically.
Oh, yeah. I got to the point with, I distinctly remember with Rec Room, there was a point where I knew it was almost time to finish because my beard was just soaked. It had all dripped out of my eye sockets down through my headset foam. Like, my whole headset foam was already waterlogged enough that water was passing through it.
For me, it was when the sweat actually went into my eyeballs and burned. That's when I thought, I need to stop this now.
Yeah, it's like, for me, I have to like give up playing and put my headset down for a bit when it just gets a bit too sweaty to put back on my head, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that right now.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, what's the next headset? It's going to have like better resolution and better this and that. And all I want is some like fans inside the headset.
Sweat retention, please. I have really considered buying a headband to go underneath my headset and see if that like helps soak away the sweat or something. I don't know.
I mean, it might, but I don't want to sweat in the first place. You know? I just want a cool thing on my head.
Yes, that
or
would be
just
good.
Breathable kind of, shutters, light shutters.
Yeah.
Breathable,
Let my eyes breathe.
I've started trying to think about things that I can invent where I can just like prop the headset up just enough that it doesn't destroy the entire illusion of VR, but does allow my desk fan to get up in there.
You just want two of those, like, the kind of handheld fans strapped to either side of your head, basically.
Oh, I've been legitimately looking at like YouTuber solutions to this problem, and there are people that have come up with like backpacks that have fans sticking out, like on the sort of like bendable but still will stay in place, like a pop shield cord, right? It'll bend, but it'll stay in place once you let go. And like people have been attaching little handheld fans to those and putting them at their face.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to have like
stuff.
handheld fans stuck to the end of the Move controllers and stuff. Basically, that might do enough. But hey, but yeah, let's crack on with the show. For anyone that hasn't listened to our first episode, go do that. And we'll wait. It's fine. You can go away, do that, come back, and we're back. But yeah. Basically, we divide the show into 3 parts, or that's what we're planning on doing, and past, present, and future. So this week in the past, we are talking about the best wave shooter VR games that we have played overall, basically, so far on our respective systems. So yeah, there's a bit of crossover between us, and I cheated a bit because I got to see both of your lists first. So let's go with you, Mr. Kev. What's top of your list? What's your favourite VR wave shooter?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying that I have one that I was going to pick straight away, and you both have it on your list, so there's not a lot of point in it being on my list. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I've gone with Robo Recall, which is an Oculus exclusive one. It's made by Epic. It was originally the Bullet Train VR demo that they made, and they turned it into a whole game. It's really cool. You can you got shotguns on your back, which you can pull out by reaching over your shoulders. You've got pistols on your hips, which you use that. And then you've got your hands as melee weapons as well. You can punch things, you can grab hold of the robots, you can rip the heads off and throw the heads at other robots and pull arms off and legs off and use them as sticks to hit other things. It's incredibly cool, and they do some pretty interesting stuff with the level design where there's like different objectives, like, oh, a big space hoover has appeared over the city. You've got to throw as many robot parts into the hoover as you can.
This is one I'm definitely
cool.
jealous of. Like, it's one that, I know isn't coming to PSVR and have been jealous since it came out and everyone else has talked about it, and everyone raves about this one.
Well, the amazing thing about it is, aside from the fact that it's probably just one of the best, if not the best wave-based shooter out there, it's also free when you buy an Oculus Rift.
Yeah, that's
one of the 6 things you get for free.
Yeah.
Which is, it's great.
Yeah.
Space Pirate Trainer, which is... What's the best way to explain that? Geometry Wars meets Space Invaders in VR.
Cool.
It's just really colourful, really cool. You feel like you're on a game show and they give you these weapons that you've got and they just like throw drones at you and you get a shield and sometimes your weapons will do interesting things. Go and watch a video on it. It's cool. I'm not going to waste time talking about this. But
this is another one I was jealous of, and it had been a while, so I didn't think it was coming to PSVR, but they have announced recently that it is. So, I'm looking forward to getting hold of that one at some point. I've heard, though, that it's quite a 360-degree shooter, and I'm wondering if they've ranged that in to, like, 180 and possibly added some aim support, because that will help, I think.
I would call it more of a 120-degree shooter at best.
Okay.
It's not even 180, really. It's just like a cone in front of you that you're playing with. You're going to be fine.
So that would be fine. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All good.
I'm kind of breezing over it, but it is one of the best experiences I've had in VR. It just does everything so perfectly. It's just quite a very simplistic game. So, watch a video and you'll instantly know what it is. Raw Data, which was Servios's game prior to Sprint Vector.
Yes.
And that's the only one that I haven't... I really want to play that multiplayer. And
right, okay.
I know that it's because it's up to 4-player co-op multiplayer.
Oh.
It's the game where you can play as a ninja with a sword, or you can play as a dude with shotguns, and there's 4 different classes, I think,
now,
isn't there? You pick a character based on the class.
I own this one and I haven't played it yet, though. Well,
have you not?
I had friends over and they played it a bit, and I kind of jumped in and out a tiny bit, but only a tiny bit. And I keep on meaning to go back to it because it seems quite good.
Well, they do really interesting things like the reloading of the weapons. You've got to actually reach down with in your case, the move controller to your hip to pull out a clip and then plug that into the gun. So... there's actually a little bit of skill involved in reloading your weapon, which makes for slightly more tension in the fights themselves. And I know that this is going to become, at the moment, you can play multiplayer on PSVR, you can play multiplayer on PC, but you can't cross between the two yet.
Yeah.
But I know in September they're integrating that.
Oh, that'll be really good.
So, I think that's going to be one of the ones that we stream.
Oh, yeah, Diarmuid, you might have to pick that up.
Sounds like I'm picking up raw data then,
And that's me.
Cool. Diarmuid, let's rock straight on and go into yours.
Yeah, well, just because Kev mentioned it just there regarding raw data, the ability to kind of grab a clip and physically put that into a gun in the game is kind of what turned me on to the entire idea of wave shooters and what they could possibly be, which is why I'm kind of cheating a little bit with this game. But PSVR Worlds has the London Heist mode. The story mode is pretty standard, it's fairly short as well, but it's really a good kind of wave-based, because they do come in waves, but they're just predefined and a bit short. But at the same time, it's just a good, like, the feeling of being shot at and you're kind of struggling to reach around, grab a clip, load your gun and then aim. It just feels like I have yet to play another game on PSVR that does the same thing, and it's kind of shocking that people didn't jump on that straight away. I'm really looking forward to playing. There's a few games I've seen
that do similar things in terms of ducking behind cover and stuff a bit.
Yeah, it's more the physically reloading of the gun.
Yeah,
like there's very few games that seem to do that. Like I felt like a bloody genius when I figured out I should pick up a clip, load it in, and then pick up another one and have it ready for when I need to reload. I felt like a bloody John Wick when I discovered that. But anyway, it was one of those games that kind of turned me on to wave shooters, and that was kind of the one that I wanted people to emulate, and it hasn't really happened too much.
Okay.
But the fact that Blood and Truth is coming out, I'm really looking forward to.
And I got to play another level of that this week, so we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But anyway.
Excellent. Another one I wanted to talk about was Dick Wild. That was one that me and you played back at EGX Rezzed a few years ago, and then it came out, and that is a lot of fun. The fact that it supports move and aim, the sheer choice of different guns that you can play with, like they really let their minds go. They had some gnarly brainstorming sessions to think up of the different weapons that you could use, and I love the way that they were able to integrate move controllers, so you can dual wield, and the aim controller in a way that actually works.
I'd say sometimes you're a bit of a disadvantage with the move controllers. With the aim controller, but I like the fact that it's got the variety at least.
Yes, exactly. But they kind of tailored it so that it would be one or the other. Unfortunately, the difficulty is still bloody hard. And,
still
the amount of stuff coming at you is kind of shocking sometimes. But it's fun. It's kind of just fun to play through. The last one I wanted to mention is also the one I think Kev was hinting at, and also the one that I know, Tim, you want to talk about as well. So I'll be very brief here. But Super Hot VR, the endless mode in that is just addictive. You genuinely feel like a superhero when you're inside in that mode, and you're just you're chucking a gun that way to hit that guy, you're grabbing the hammer out of this guy's hand to slash him across the face. It just feels incredible. There are few games out there that do such a good job, and this is probably my favourite, similar to Kev, probably my favourite wave shooter. Obviously there's a standard mode as well, but that endless mode is top notch. Really top notch.
It's still the first thing I show anyone who's never seen VR before.
Yeah, it's a great introduction. It's ultimate player empowerment. Basically, is really just you feel as you say, you feel like a superhero, or like you're Neo in the Matrix, or that key person that's just got one up on all the people around you, kind of thing. And it's a great game, as you say, basically. I don't know. There's something about it that makes me not necessarily instantly think of it when we're thinking of wave shooters, but by definition, it kind of is. And it's definitely one of my favourite games in VR in general, basically. And as you say, Kev, an excellent way to show off VR to people for the first time as well. Right, and that was all on your list, Mr. Diarmuid, yes?
That was all
1,
for
2,
me.
3. So, Super Hot's definitely high up, if not the top of my list. And I have to say, there's a few other things that I've played bits of that I quite like. VR Invaders, I mentioned. And what was the other one? Mortal Blitz was okay as well, basically. And likewise, we said Raw Data that you were talking about, Kev. That was one I quite liked and mean to play more of. I did mention Blasters of the Universe as well a couple of weeks ago. And Kev, I think you should still seek that out if possible, because I think you'll like it. But as I said, it's a kind of bullet hell type thing where you've got to make your head dodge out of the way of incoming fire. Otherwise, if it's not hitting your head, you're okay. And then it's got a kind of weapon system where you've got lots of different parts you can upgrade, and you can make a weapon, tailor it to your kind of playstyle and stuff. And loads of different unlockables and stuff. So it's fun and silly and good, and I think one of my preferred ones. The thing I think I prefer to that, and might even rival Super Hot for my favourite actual wave-based shooter, is Shooty Fruity. I don't know if you guys have played this.
No, but I've seen videos of it.
Okay, because for me, it's got some of the fun elements of Job Simulator, and those sort of silly based kind of games mixed in with a wave shooter. And anyone that hasn't seen it, you're basically there are other stations and you can go to the cafeteria and stuff, but generally you start out on the checkout and you're scanning items through the checkout to then unlock better weapons that are coming across in they sort of scroll across you, and you can then pick them up, and then you're shooting waves and waves of fruit that's coming towards you, and it's all ridiculously kind of like animated and stuff. And yeah, it's just a good fun wave shooter basically. So yeah, I recommend that one basically.
What I like about our picks is all of them kind of seem to stray away from the usual or what you would expect to think of a wave-based shooter. You know what I mean? You kind of think of, you stand still and you're looking around and stuff is just running at you. And there's very few of our picks that actually kind of do that in the standard way. There's always a little quirk there. And I think that's important for any future wave-based shooters that people plan to put out there.
Yeah, it's got to
have something to it. Otherwise, it's just a bit too samey.
Yeah. I mean, I picked up Sneaky Bears the other day, and that seems a bit guilty of that as well, possibly, even though it was quite cheap, so it's not too bad. But yeah, there's a lot of like decent wave shooters, but I think we've picked a good selection of good and interesting ones. Me and Diarmuid were discussing this before the show, but I kind of discounted Rez, and I was kind of discounting Rush of Blood. Just because they didn't quite... But Rush of Blood is quite wave shootery, so that might bump Blasters of the Universe off my list, thinking about it. But hey, I don't know what you guys think on that. But yeah, let us know your favourite wave-based shooters if we haven't mentioned any of the ones that you think deserve mentioning. And let us know in comments on the forums and Twitter, etc. And with that, we will move out of the past and into the present. So the games that we have been playing. So this week... Kev and I have both been playing a game, so maybe we should kick off with that one, Kev.
All right, if that's the way you want to start.
Yep. Detached is how would you describe it, Kev? I'd say exploratory, space-based, kind of path and puzzle solving game, basically.
I would. I got some. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've got some bad things to say about this game.
Really? I quite enjoyed it.
Right, so I love what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of issues with it. Number one, and this is my biggest issue with it by far,
right,
is the view, and I'm not sure if there's a way to configure this otherwise.
Okay.
But the view from inside that hazmat suit, like half of your vertical vision is taken up just by the chin strap. So you can only really see by rolling your eyes upwards.
Right. I didn't have a problem with that.
I did.
Okay.
Now, as I say, it may have been a configuration problem. Maybe it was just where I was stood in my room. Also, I'll have to go back and have a look at that, but that was just driving me up the wall.
Did you leave the fisheye lens thing on?
Do you know, I actually turned the game off before I figured out how to turn it off.
Right.
But it was really annoying me.
Yes, I turned it off and I enjoyed the game infinitely more afterwards. It does give you a recommendation that it might lead to more motion sickness. And I had literally 1 second of going, oh, that's not comfortable, and then I was absolutely fine. So
which control mode were you using? Because they offer you 3.
Yeah, now that's one of the reasons why I didn't get that far into the game, because I only got a chance to play it last night before today. And as we discussed, it's bloody hard at the moment, so I have to wait till quite late in the evening before it's even possible to get a VR headset on my head. But yeah, that was one of the other things. I went through the training a few times just to try out the different control methods. And yeah, I ended up going with the easiest one. I decided I didn't see...
That's why you won't get motion sick then.
Yeah, possibly. I decided that was possibly an issue, and then also it just seemed a bit more fiddly, and it seemed like a reasonably fiddly game, so I thought I'd rather play through it in the arcade settings, I think they referred to it as. And then if I enjoyed it and wanted to get used to it more, then I can play via the other methods, is what I went with. Did you go with one of the harder ones?
For those who can't... Well, I went straight for the most ridiculous one.
Of course you did, Kev. Of course you did.
So for those who can't really picture what we're talking about, because we're not really describing it very well, this game is one of those zero-G ones. It's like Lone Echo. It's like... what was that one I was talking about a few weeks ago? Downward Spiral.
Yeah.
So you're in zero-G, and the way that they've done this is they've given you 3 control options. Now... They don't like you to use the easy option. If you go and watch the promotional material for this game, and this is my big issue with this game, this is what I don't like, is, right, so you're making a car, right? Yeah. And this isn't in the game, I'm just saying for analogy.
For making car's sake.
Right. You're making a car.
Podcast.
Now, do you advertise that car as, brakes? Who wants brakes? That's for wussies. Just get in there and fly in a direction, and no, you'll stop when you hit
It's a flying car now, is it?
That's certainly the way Jeremy Clarkson would advertise the game.
And that's basically what they've done with this game. They're really, really proud of the fact that it makes you want to throw up. they're going around shouting like, we've made we've made zero-G movement and motion so realistic that you are just going to feel sick all the time. And deal with it. Is the way that they've gone.
But like as I said, the arcade mode controls are it's slightly easier to get to grips with. But I found it to be a fiddly game that is fiddly in the right way that I kind of want it to be. Like, you have to be very careful and cautious. Basically, you're exploring, it's kind of, I think it's the remains of an exploded sort of spacecraft, or there's like various different bits of space debris amongst the kind of asteroids as well, but then it's kind of separated areas that are different levels, basically. So you find the way in through an airlock, you solve the little puzzle and find your path through that sort of level to actually do whatever you need to do, and there's like 5 tasks or so that you need to do to get things going, basically.
Yeah, I think the gameplay itself, well, not the gameplay, the game design itself, even the game itself is quite cool.
Yes. I like it, and I really like elements of it. There's bits that have frustrated me a little bit, and bits that I wish were a slightly bit different, but I really like the idea, and I really like spending time in the game at the moment, basically.
I don't know if you got the same sense as me in this, but it feels a little bit janky. Not everything works first time all the time.
Yeah, but like, as I said, you have to be really cautious and careful about your direction and the angle that you're facing, and basically you have to be really slow. If at any point you like bump your head on the ceiling, like, you could crack your helmet and die, basically. And if you go too fast into a wall, you will die, basically. And the one thing that slightly frustrates me is because I've heard it's not that long. I think I've heard it's a couple of hours, and I'm already a couple of hours in, so I think it's a bit longer than that, or I've just been pissing around. One of the two.
It's actually meant to be about an hour.
Yeah, like I enjoy messing around in this game anyway. I enjoy the like zero-G environment, floating around in space for a bit, and like you have to be slightly concerned with your oxygen, but there's enough oxygen floating around anyway. But yeah. As I said, like, there's elements I enjoy. The one thing I found a bit frustrating with because it's a bit of a short game, the way they've tried to cover that up a little bit is the checkpoints are quite harsh, basically, which I didn't necessarily appreciate. And it feels like there could have been a bit more to it, but and especially when, there's a lot of cheaper games, and this is in the £30 price bracket. But having said that, like, if I'd have played what I've played of this game and still heard it was £30, I'd have probably bought it, just because it really ticks the right boxes for me of zero-G environment. And I know you've got to do that on a few more games on Oculus, Kev, but they're two things that we don't have currently on
No, I understand that. I think when you guys get a downward spiral, it's going to be somewhat of a revelation to you. And obviously, if you ever get a chance to play Lone Echo. I like what they're trying to do. I'm not 100% sure I like how they've gone about doing it.
Okay.
I don't like the subtext of, we want you to throw up, so gutted. But obviously I am that person that goes in and says, right, what kind of controls have we got here? We've got really simple, so you move up, down, back, left, like in bloody, I don't know, No Man's Sky or something.
But you've got quite a bit of control in the end, because you can spin in different directions, and you can, it's the weird thing to get used to is you've got like an air brake, and you have to kind of slow down and stop. Like, you can't there's no sudden stop, basically.
And then there's an intermediate setting for the controls where everything's a little bit more freeform, but it's still basically holding your hand to some extent. It's not letting you spin out of control. Yeah. It's when you go for the one I went for, which is the realistic setting, and you just start like doing corkscrews around a place just because you pressed 2 buttons.
That's in the intermediate controls. You had like one click. You could click in the analog to basically stop your momentum in one direction, and then you could click the other analog in to stop your rotational direction. So
you can do that in advanced as well.
Okay, yeah,
but
I don't think
the
that was
brakes don't exactly happen super quick.
Yeah, I bet.
They take a while to kick in. and rightfully so. Like, it is a pain in the ass to control, and as you say, you do have to go so slowly. Which I think that's one of my biggest issues, is because of that checkpoint thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
If you have to restart from a checkpoint and you've got a lot of ground to cover, the speed, you can't just go, right, well, I know where I'm going there, so I'll just run there. It's like, no, you have to go so slow. It took me, like, just to give an example, it takes about, I don't know, 5 seconds to turn 90 degrees. Now, that doesn't sound like the end of the world until you've done it a million times. And just imagine you're playing a first-person shooter, and you know the door is to the, like, 3 o'clock of you, right? And it takes you 5 seconds to make that turn. It's so slow.
All I'm saying is, Kev, I strongly recommend going in, putting it in arcade, and then, turning that fisheye thing off, basically, and see how you do.
I strongly recommend going in on the ridiculous controls, just so that you can go back to the other controls and know how much easier it is.
In at the deep end. But as I said, I've enjoyed my time with it. I would possibly recommend for it to be on sale for most people, but I possibly would have been silly enough to buy that at full price just because, as I said...
How much is it at full price?
£30.
30?
Yeah, I think it's $30 in the States as well, so I think we're getting ripped off a little bit there. So that's the other reason I'd say...
I wouldn't go that far.
Like £20 and below, I think that's a worthy purchase for me, but still.
We forgot to... I mean, we've gone over what this is in its, like, essentials, but it's primarily a PvP game, which I got to say, I haven't tried. I don't know if you got in there.
I haven't yet. I've heard that the... so far that's slightly sparsely populated, but it has just come out, basically. So,
well, it's been out for 2 years on PC.
Okay, well, it's only just come out on
PlayStation,
PlayStation VR, so yeah. But I'd be interested to see if that's any good. I'd want to get through the single-player game first, but then I'll see.
I assume it's got to be quite a laugh watching an entire lobby. Well, maybe, I think it's one-on-one, actually. But either way, just watching someone else struggle with the controls as much as you are is bound to be funny.
Bound to be amusing. So, right, Kev, you've actually also played more games this week. So let's get another one of yours out the way.
All right, well, I'll quickly mention Budget Cuts, which is a game I've been looking forward to for quite a while. It's just come out on Oculus Rift about a few weeks ago. And this is an espionage game. It's like a stealth game.
Right.
So you're a robot in, let's say, let's just call it what it is. It's a rip-off of Job Simulator Office. And there's a bunch of robots who have come in to make some cuts, some budget cuts. Yeah. And that budget cuts means killing all of your co-workers to get rid of the robots that are unnecessary. So the way you have to escape this office is by using stealth to like hide under office tables and distract those robots by throwing things around the room and like trying to maneuver around them to various floors. I literally just started it. I'm very quickly going to finish this off, but I've literally just started. And there was I wouldn't have mentioned it until next episode, except there was one really cool thing where you get this teleporter gun. This is how you move, and you fire the sort of round, and it goes in an arc and lands on a floor somewhere, and then you get a preview window appear above the gun. And you can turn in 360 degrees and look through the sort of the vision of that bullet where it's landed. So you can see 360 degrees from where you're about to teleport to without actually teleporting there first. Oh, nice. So it's cool. You can fire it into a room and then see what's in that room before you go in. And then once you go through... So that's how you locomote through the levels, and I just find this really cool bit where they don't signal it at all, and I assume I'm going in the right direction, I don't know, but there's another office building on the other side of the road, and there was an open window where I was, and an open window like on another floor where that building was, and I fired this thing across the road, and it went through the other window, and I teleported from building to building. Nice. And it was just so cool.
Cool. Sweet. Well, that is good.
Yeah, it just really felt good, and I'll go more into that the next time we record, because there's a lot more to play of that.
Sounds fun. Also, Mr. Diarmuid, let's get you talking, sir, because we haven't heard from you for a quick minute. So
I'm here.
Yes. What have you been playing this week, sir?
So I got it was very recently, there was a sale on PlayStation 4, as there is almost every bloody week at this stage. But one of the games that was on sale was Ultrawings, and as a SNES kid growing up, I was a big fan of Pilot Wings and assumed that this was somehow related. It's not really.
No, not really.
But who cares? I got the game and so on. So Ultrawings is, but it does seem to take a little bit from it. So if Pilot Wings, if you haven't played it before, is a kind of it's a very arcadey flight simulator, but not really. It teaches you like how to land planes, how to take off, how to fly around basically. And this game does very similar, at least at the start. So when you load into an airfield, into an office, and there's a laptop in front of you, and you pick out which jobs you want to do. At the start, you need to get your license, and then you go off and do other jobs. And then as you're progressing through the game, each job that you do gives you money. And then what you do is you buy airports on other islands nearby where you can then land, and that unlocks new planes. And there's 4 in total. Yeah. So at the start, you're in this kind of a motorized, it's an incredibly small plane, like incredibly small,
almost like a microlight kind of thing.
Yes, very similar to that. So I was playing the game with move controllers. You can use just a regular controller and then use head tracking for some of the aiming stuff, but I was using 2 move controllers, and one of them was fairly redundant. But basically what you do is you grab onto the rudder and you just kind of you actually fly it. You tilt it back to go up, you push it forward to go down, left, right, and then you use the buttons on the move controller to actually move the rudder at the back, and that kind of flies you around. And it starts off nice and simple. It's take off and just fly straight through some things, and then towards the end of your training you land, and then the more jobs you pick up, the more kind of number 1, the planes that you get are faster, and number 2, the jobs that you can do. There's like a balloon chase where what you do is you fly up into the air with your other hand. You then can pick up a pistol, and you kind of have to blow up the balloons as you're flying past them. And at that stage, you're kind of good enough in terms of the flying that you can kind of do that kind of with it absent-mindedly, and then keep aiming around you. And that allows you to progress further. I've been playing the game for about 15, maybe 18 hours, and I still haven't unlocked everything.
Nice.
Like there is actually quite a lot to it. The game is currently, I think, £17 on the PSN, and it's worth it for that. I got it cheaper because it was on sale, and because it was on sale once, I'm sure it's going to be on sale again. If you do see it, I do recommend picking it up. It's a lot of fun. And one of the things I wanted to mention is I have very rarely felt ill playing VR. It's not something I'm very familiar with. Like even the games that are meant to have done it on PlayStation, like Drive Club VR, I never felt that way when I was playing it. Yeah. But this game, I was playing it at the start, and I actually thought I was ill, but I wasn't. It was actually it wasn't because of the fact that it was in VR. It was the fact that it really did feel like I was flying, and I was kind of like, I was looking out, like as I was banking around, I kind of looked down at the ground, and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right.
You're flying without wings.
Exactly. So the fact that it was able to elicit that kind of response from me is actually a good thing, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
That is cool.
I recommend it. I had a lot of fun with that game. And as I said, I'm still playing it because I still haven't bloody cleared the thing. But it is a lot of fun. Well worth picking up.
That is both good news and bad news, because I already own this game and it's on my long list of games that I've played a little bit of, really liked, and really need to go back to play more of. And the fact that it's like got 18 hours of content, I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. But as you say, it's like it kind of feels like a nice peaceful version of flying. Like Eve Valkyrie and even Eagle Flight feel a bit more hectic kind of thing, whereas this feels a bit more sedate. No? Yeah,
yes and no. Purely because number one, it is a bit more sedate. It's a lot slower, and it's a bit more purposeful, and you're in more control. So you kind of have to really, move around a lot more easily. And there are different control settings as well, in terms of you can kind of go for a more sim control.
Right.
Even on arcade control, it's still quite involved.
Sort of.
Exactly. However, I think the thing that sets it apart is the fact that it really does escalate quite quickly to the point where you're kind of like, you're not only kind of trying to fly through smaller targets, you're going a lot quicker because you've gotten new airplanes, or you've unlocked new craft. So you're going a little quicker, you're trying to get through smaller targets, and you're trying to concentrate on that and keep in mind the basic skills, and then also maybe doing the balloon popping or something else. So there's a lot going on. So it does get quite tricky, and that probably adds quite a bit to the playtime as well, because I did have to retry a number of levels a number of times. But at the same time, I enjoyed myself while I was doing it. So
yeah, so that's not bad.
There you go.
Cool. Right, Mr. Kev, I believe you had one other game to talk about, sir.
So I got a code for a game called Naked Sun, which has just released on Oculus, I believe. And it's been a long time coming. I wasn't really aware of it prior to getting the code.
Right.
But it is an on-rails shooter. You are on a constantly moving monorail sort of thing.
Monorail.
And there are other monorails to the left and right of you, and you'll occasionally be attacked by either people on those monorails on various other trains.
No, I just want to chant monorail every time you say monorail. Anyway.
or by drones that fly over. That's the first level. Then there's a second level where you're going down a great big elevator through what has got to be the tallest building ever conceived, where there's a load of people on every floor who will try and fight you. Now, that sounds pretty basic on its premise, and it kind of is. You've got, like, 2 Uzis that you can use that will also convert into a sniper rifle-esque pistol. Not sniper rifle-esque, it's just a pistol that has like a decent sight on it and will do more damage if you can pull the single-shot stuff off.
Right.
Those are your options for weapons-wise until you get on the, I think it's the second level, you get a rocket launcher. Now, this is where it gets pretty cool, because this thing is attached to your shoulder like a Predator cannon.
Ooh.
And you, like, in order to highlight targets, you, like, press and hold a button, and you do, like, a sort of, you know, in Res, when you just, like...
paint targets.
Yeah, pan across it, and it locks on, and then you just let go of the button, and all these rockets fly out and just smash them. So that's really satisfying.
Nice.
When that happens. It's not quite as smooth as I would like it, but I think... like, comparing most of games that do that to things like Res is a little unfair, really, isn't it? Like, Res just does it so well. But, yeah, there's that, and you also get a shield on your other hand, so they're your 2 special weapons.
Right.
Left hand, you get a shield that has a certain amount of energy that it will last for before it depletes. And then the cool thing about that is that it will block everything coming in at you, but you can still fire through it.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah, that's your sort of player setup, and obviously you've got a health bar. And then there's also, this is where the game really got interesting for me, is there's quite often in the environment, you'll see a bunch of people coming out and you're like, oh god, there's another 25 people I've got to kill quickly. And there'll be like just a little shiny thing above them, and you'll be like, alright, well, I'll shoot that. And then the thing that shiny thing was holding up will fall down and land on them all. And this kind of thing happens quite a lot. There's just a lot of environmental kills that are available to you, and you don't have to use them. But when you do, it's just really satisfying. There'll be things like rockets that are just sitting there, and it'll be like, blow off the cap of the rocket. So you blow the cap of the rocket, and it makes it ignite and fires into the nearest person. But if you time it right, it like sends them flying into another person, and then that hits another explosive barrel. And like when you get a nice chain going from that, it's one of those things where I really wish there was a score being kept. It would be one of my favourite things they could do with this in a future update is just have a little high score thing, so I can find my friends for high score, getting those stupid combos together.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good fun. I like it quite a lot. The only shortcoming, and I use that word very appropriately, is this description of this game has been almost as long as the game itself. Now they have said it's an incomplete game. They're going to keep adding levels, but right now it is 3 levels and done, and that took me about 40 to 45 minutes, somewhere in that region.
Okay, it's not the most expensive game from what I've seen, though.
I'd have to double check the price, but no, it's not. It's not stupidly expensive or anything, as far as I'm aware.
I think in dollars it was $16, I believe, and it's discounted 30% on launch. I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's £12.39 right now, and that's without a discount. So yeah, it's not stupidly expensive, but still, it kind of bums me out that we're still at this stage in VR where these games are coming out and it's 3 levels. You know.
Well, I mean, look, I'm pleased it's good at least because this is apparently coming out in August on PSVR as well. So hopefully it's something they can add to the package. If that's coming out in August, maybe there'll be another level that they'll launch on both at the same time. That sort of thing. But yeah, at least it's fun, the base stuff, yeah?
It is, yeah, it's good fun. It's not the most challenging game that I've ever played. It's actually really easy, but it's one of those things where it's easy, but it's fun that it's easy, you know?
Yeah.
You're just shooting fish in a barrel, and sometimes that's just a good laugh.
Good, cool. Well, yeah, as I said, that's one that, I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. We shall see. We should have possibly mentioned, just because we like to do so generally, that we did get... you mentioned you got a review code for Naked Sun, but I don't think we mentioned we got review codes for Detached, just to fill that one in. But also, one other game, and yeah, just for the record as well, The Persistence came out this week, and apparently that is a long game and a good game, and sounds like one that you'd actually like...
It's PSVR exclusive.
But it's a PSVR exclusive.
Yeah, I saw it and I got a little bit bummed out. And it's also worth noting that on the flip side of that, Marvel Powers VR just came out today on Oculus.
I'm hearing slightly mixed things about that, but again, base game's fun, perhaps not that challenging. It sounds like a lot of the things you were saying with Naked Sun, but with a skin.
It sounds like really fun gameplay, not a lot to it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like Persistence is supposed to be very good. I will pick that up at some point. I had Detached to play, and as I said, not exactly the ideal VR weather, but I will be picking that up at some point and playing that as well. So I'll probably talk about that on our next show. For this week, I did actually play a game that came out last week or so, or maybe even a bit before that, but like came out recently and was on sale in the recent sale. I don't believe it's on sale now, but it is only £6.49, which is not a bad price for what it is. Basically, it's a game called Esper. It's not the longest game in the world. I would say 3 hours-ish, maybe.
This has been on my wish list since I got my Oculus, actually.
Yeah, like I think you would like this, Kev. Like, it's not, as I said, not the most challenging game, and it's kind of like puzzle solving using basically, well, the setup is you're in and I don't want to give away what type of factory it is, just in case that is something that comes up in the later in the thing, but basically you're in this kind of factory setting in an office, and some people are testing your ESP powers, which have just manifested, and they've been testing some other people, but they've kind of been thrown in at the deep end slightly in testing you, and are just trying you out with some equipment they've concocted together, which generally consists of like a series of pipes and you moving things through those pipes. That's basically
it's got like a Portal vibe to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and like it's got a kind of comedic undertone to the thing. It tries to have a bit of sinisterness. I would say that the kind of it's almost like the kind of slightly kitsch kind of thing from I Expect You to Die, but without the kind of 50s spy theme. It's got kind of that kind of element to it, sort of, but crossed with what was the other really good puzzle game that I keep on forgetting the name of? It's beginning with K. No, the one when your hands are in a box.
I've no idea.
No idea.
Is that not Static?
Static, that's the one, yes.
That begins with a K.
Begins with a K.
Yeah, well, it ends with a K. It's close. Maybe that's why I can't remember it. But anyway, Static I really like. And that's got a kind of sinister undertone to the fact they're doing experiments on you, and that Esper's got like a similar kind of vibe to it, but I think it's pulled off a little bit better in Static, basically. It feels a bit more sinister. The comedy hits home a little bit more. And I won't really talk about it too much, but I played The American Dream, which I know you like, Diarmuid, as well.
Yes.
And that's got a kind of, that sinister 50s vibe to it, sort of thing. And there's a bit of that in this as well. There's that kind of feel to it, but without being quite as sinister or on the nose as American Dream is, basically. But yeah, like it's, as I said, not the longest thing, not the most challenging, but enjoyable and fun to play through. And yeah, for the small price it is, it's easy to recommend, basically. And especially if you see it on sale, I think I picked it up when it was like £4 or so. And yeah, for that sort of price, definitely pick it up because it's a fun couple of hours. The only other caveat I'll add to that is I don't think there's that much replay value possibly, because there's not much reason to revisit a level once you've actually solved it and got through it, and then once you've seen the end of the game, sort of thing.
For £4,
yeah, exactly.
Bothered.
Yeah, but yeah, £6.49 is the price that it is at the moment. But
is it just the first Esper? Because I know there's two, and on Oculus, I don't even think you can buy them separately anymore. They come as Esper the collection.
It doesn't mention that it's the collection. It just calls itself Esper, so I'm not sure on that. But as
maybe it's just the first one then.
It was about 3 hours or so. Maybe somewhere in the 2 to 4 hour range, I would say, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I played it in a couple of settings, but yeah, as I said, quite enjoyable, quite good fun, and easy to recommend at that price point. Right, so that is all for our section of the present of what we have been playing, and we'll be moving on to the future now. We will take you into the future. One that I'll just mention very quickly. Myself and Mr. Coleman did record a special episode of BRB UK, so I won't repeat everything that was said. But I went up to visit Develop Brighton, and the reason why I'm mentioning it on the VR show is I did get to play a new level of Blood and Truth, which was shaping up quite nicely, fighting your way through a kind of London estate that had been cleared for demolition, and fighting some Bloods and Glang members type things as we were fighting the way through the estate. But yeah, like that still feels quite good. Yeah, if you want your reloading and stuff, then you'll be happy with that. Bit of slow-mo.
Excellent.
Yeah, one of the major additions they put in since the previous build that I'd seen in the casino is in the casino level you could shoot like fire hydrants to do a bit of slow-mo. They got such a positive feedback from that being in the demo, they decided to put it as a mechanic in the game. The excuse being that, you can slow down time because you're this badass soldier type thing. But yeah, so that's something that's prevalent throughout and something you can just kick off on a timer type thing. But yeah, feels quite good.
Cool.
Still good. And I also got to do an interview with the developer, and that is up on the Develop Brighton special as well. And I also got, and I'll quickly mention a game called Fuggle, Fugl. And it's kind of a nice, relaxing kind of flight. Bird flight type thing, but you're kind of just flying around the landscape, and the landscape's sort of changing seasons and changing from area to area and stuff like that. The one thing I thought was really good about it is kind of the bird has a lot of weight behind it, basically. It felt really good. The actual flight mechanic felt really well done, basically. So yeah, one to look out for in the future. I believe I played that on an Oculus, if I'm correct, Mr. Kev. But yeah. Worth looking out for, and if you want more details on both of those, then we did a special podcast that I will hopefully remember to supply Kev with the link so we can put in the. I'll probably be doing the forum post, so I'll put it in there anyway. But yeah, moving on from that, we have a fun, stupid story that I wanted to introduce just because it would help me feel a bit cooler than I do now, because I am sweating already. It's got to that point in the evening, but yeah. VR Waterslides, gentlemen. How nice does that sound right now? And I don't mean...
It would be heaven right now for me.
And we should clarify, because I did have to show these guys a video to show them exactly what I was talking about. But this isn't like a game where you sit at home and do a water slide, which might actually work. That could be cool, but it would have to be quite a long water slide. But this is an actual real-life water slide where you put a VR helmet on your head, and then there's all sorts of, different things that marry up to the kind of motions you're going through, but in a more wild environment, basically. Which sounds really stupid at first. It's like electronics in the water. That sounds like a bad combination. But
it is a Samsung phone, though, so it is pretty water resistant.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's in a gear.
Yes.
So I thought you were going to say, like, pretty disposable.
Yeah. So as you're going down the slide, like, you're obviously seeing different things, but you're just going down a regular water slide. But then you're in space, or you're going through... I don't know, there was a number of different things in that video that I saw that I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was a load of different situations you're in as you're going down these slides. I don't know how well they're mapped to the actual slide itself, but I think they said that it cost €2 to go on it, so it would be worth doing if you're in that place. It's in Germany, I think.
And sounds like heaven right now. Like, oh my God, how much I would pay more than £2 to be in a water slide right now. I would pay all the pounds.
Just put me in a pool. I don't even need to be on a slide. Just a pool of ice cold water. I'd be happy out.
That may even make it cool enough to play VR, basically. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on from the silly to the slightly more sensible and, a good game that I wasn't expecting to get VR treatment. I don't know about you gentlemen, but Hellblade, and I'm going to mess this up, but Senua's Sacrifice?
No, that's pretty good.
VR edition is coming to Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. This is good news for you, Mr. Kev.
I still haven't actually played through the whole game as it in its core thing, so I might actually just wait until this comes out now. And then
well, you don't have long to wait. It's what, the 31st of July it's coming out?
Well, the problem is, am I going to be too busy playing Monster Hunter on PC at that point?
That is also true.
We'll see.
But yeah, it's interesting just because not a game I saw on the radar was coming to VR. I would imagine, and like some people have drawn like some news out of the fact that it's not on PSVR as being the fact that they're now owned by Microsoft. I think that's this more that they bought the PCs ones out first, and I would imagine that this decision was probably taken before Microsoft got on board. I would imagine.
This would have been in the works long before.
Yeah,
that.
I would have thought so. But just interesting. It's cool to see a game like this coming over, and hopefully getting a new lease of life in VR and giving a few more people an excuse to pick up the game. I have access to the game, but it'd be nice. I think, it'd be nice to just possibly get it on PSVR as well. So I might wait for that, as you say, and just try it in VR.
It makes a real crazy amount of sense, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because the whole game is premised on this young girl suffering, or this lady suffering from dementia, and hearing things and just being immersed in this whole sort of dementia environment, and then the whole point of VR is immersion.
Yeah.
So you're going to feel like you've got dementia. It's actually a really cool fit now that I'm thinking about it.
I like the fact that it's a very narrative focused game in VR, something that you tend not to get.
Absolutely. And
it just reminded me now, just thinking about narrative focused, that the news that Amy Hennig left EA. She's planning on setting up her own indie studio, and the very first kind of game she mentioned was a VR game.
It's just
that kind of news that is very encouraging.
And the other nice thing about it is they did say that this will be a free update, basically.
That's awesome.
So that's always nice. Coming to Oculus Rift and HTC Vive on the 31st of
God, the sound design was so good in this game as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna blow minds through a headset.
So should be good, should be interesting. Looking forward to seeing that one. Right now, news that I am very pleased, Kev, even though it's better news for you. But Star Trek Bridge Crew, the Next Generation DLC, is out now on PSVR headsets. Now, we've had this for a bit. Myself and Diarmuid dabbled, but as we've discovered in our Star Trek adventures recently, this game really needs at least 3 people. Or it's easier and more balanced with 3 people or more, basically. But
you just can't trust Tavar or whatever her name was. She just doesn't do her job when you want.
She's the worst.
She's the worst. Absolute worst. I don't know if you guys have seen Final Space yet on Netflix, but hey, Kevin, you're the worst. That'll mean something to someone there anyway. But anyway, we had our own Kevin. But anyway, basically this is good news for you, Kev, because it's the next generation. It's good stuff, extra content for a game that we've already been enjoying together, and means that you can come play the new VR content, so we can start playing that.
I may very well have just bought this the second I woke up this morning.
Nice.
So that's one that I think we will pretty much leave there and come back to when we've had a chance to actually dig into it with the 3 of us. But as I said, one thing that we've dug into a little bit, it's breathed new life into that game, given a new excuse to go pick it up, and we will be playing some more and live streaming some more. We were actually supposed to live stream this Sunday, but we had some issues with peoples and internets and all sorts of rubbish. And also, it's really freaking hot for VR right now. But yeah, as soon as it cools down this country, we will be doing a regular Sunday stream, so look out for that as well. We'll be doing some more Star Trek in the future and having some more adventures in space.
Gonna fight the Borg cubes.
Yes,
in space.
fight the Borgs. So yeah, we'll be making that so pretty soon. Moving on, this was another one that I was like, what, really? But yeah, Sega Mega Drive Classics gets a free VR update. So yeah, again, cool news that this is free. It's a weird kind of, it's one of those things where you're like, who asked for this? And then when you actually see it, I went, okay, I can
see this.
I could play this.
Do you remember the video that Sony put out for their anniversary event a few years back? Remember it was like, was it the 25th anniversary? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was the changing
PlayStation.
Ages of the bedroom type thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's basically you're put in that bedroom, except instead of with a PlayStation, with a Sega Mega Drive. And this update or this VR update was already available on PC, so this is free now for PSVR.
Okay.
And like I've watched a gameplay video of it, and it looks like you're just sitting down, legs crossed in your in your room.
Yeah.
There's posters on the wall. There's your bed over there with a football and all that kind of stuff. And then there's just this CRT TV in front of you with all of your favorite games on it, and you just kind of you plug in a game and you just play through it in VR, and it's a decent nostalgia trip for those who kind of grew up with this. And even without it, it's still just kind of a little bit of fun.
I don't know about you. I knew this game came out, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, you've done these sorts of things before. The fact that they've added this means that I probably will pick it up at some point, because I was like, okay, yeah, and I just watching other people play it and just going, okay, I could see me having some fun with that in VR. That's silly and fun, and just gives an extra reason to kind of go through them. But then it just also reminded me, oh yeah, there's quite a few games that I wouldn't mind just having easy access to and being able to play, and mess around with that are in the collection, like Golden Axe and silly things like that, basically. Streets of Rage. So
Kid Chameleon.
Yeah. But yeah, like, good news that it's not just the games that are, already out on VR and being released on VR, but the fact that other games and things are finding interesting ways of bringing VR into their games to make it of interest to the VR audience. Quite good.
Yeah.
Me like this. This is good. Also, good news for you, Mr. Kev. Lots of good news for you this week. Megatunnel Rainfall is coming to the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive in August. Also, alongside this, there will be DualShock 4 support, which was something that a lot of people called out for on PSVR as well. But yeah, if anyone doesn't know, it's it's almost Superman, the VR game, but without the Superman license, basically.
Yeah.
Legally not Superman. But you've got
you basically fly around and save cities from alien attacks and
it's
stuff.
that game.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's one of the best feeling games I've ever played in VR.
Is it?
really
Because I've
is.
seen videos of this before and it always looked a little bit janky to me, but if it
is
actually
janky.
feels
Yes.
good.
In terms of the gameplay, like when you're actually trying to save the alien or save the humans from the aliens, and there's this like population meter that's slowly filling up of dead bodies because you are really clumsy at the start.
And you've got some really big superpowers that you can't aim down at the floor as well, otherwise you'll blow up half the city, basically.
Exactly. Like
Right,
if you just
okay.
fly past a building too closely, you'll knock it over, and that'll kill thousands of people. So it really does feel like Batman v Superman, actually.
Yeah, I really have a newfound, okay, well, I see how this all goes horribly wrong type of support for Superman now in those sorts of conditions. So yeah.
This feels like Zack Snyder going, here, you try it. You see if it's easy to do. But it's a lot of fun. And the fact that they're adding move support, and I think the biggest thing for me is actually the free roam mode. The ability to just fly around and just enjoy the movement and stuff. That, and like the fact that it's very similar to No Man's Sky in terms of you can go right down towards the ground and then you can take off, go right into space, go all the way around the world and back down to a completely different area, all kind of seamlessly. It just feels incredible, and I'm looking forward to seeing this on PC. I'm sure it's going to look incredible as well.
Yeah,
I'll have to give it a go.
That game is worth it just for the moment they go, oh yeah, and now here's how much faster you can fly, and let's go on a little tour. Just that bit in the game alone, fantastic.
Well, hopefully it lives up to the already high bar of flying around in Google Maps.
Basically, imagine doing that, but you're Superman and you've got some aliens to shoot at. Not the easiest game in the world. As I said, the free mode's quite cool because it'd just be nice to fly around. It did also have a recent pro patch as well, basically, but still not the shiniest game in the world, but yeah, definitely worth looking out for in the future. Right, so on to wrapping up the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us for episode 2, and a big also thank you and shout outs to Mr. Will Driver, Mr. David Long, Mr. Mark Brown. I was going to wait for one of you guys to jump in, maybe, or
you didn't exactly give us a clue.
I know, but then thought one of you might
teething issues.
Jump in on this.
Also, thanks to Sikander, Richard Kirk, and Stealthy Joe.
Yay! Yeah, thank you very much, guys, and thank you very much for everyone that did download our first episode and for feedback and general support. And I don't think we've had anything like, we know we haven't really made it yet because we haven't had any nasty comments. Like they've all been nice and oh yeah, cool, good to have VR and good for Tim to have an outlet to talk to VR without people telling him to shut up and all that type of stuff.
Don't worry, when we play VR Ace Combat and we stream that, then we'll get the nasty
then
comments.
We'll get the bad comments. What is this man doing? He can't even fly a plane. No, I can't fly a plane. Anyway, but yeah. Other than that, thank you very much for everyone that did get in contact, and please feel welcome to do so. You can do so via at Big Red Barrel, which will generally come to us on Twitter and stuff, via our Facebooks. We've got a Gamer Nights group on there if you want to hook up and play some VR online with us at some point. We have possibly got a fourth for Star Trek, but I'm sure there's some other games we can play some Rec Room and some other bits and bobs with some peoples. Also look out for the Discord channel as well if you want to coordinate some stuff that way. You can go on the forums and comment on our what's the word I'm looking for the post for this episode, and that'll be on bigredbarrel.com. Also, look out for the podcast and other bits and bobs on YouTube as well, on BRB TV, etc. And what's our Twitch as well, Mr. Kev? Which one are we streaming on?
Been keeping up with our VR Twitch shenanigans. I am going to get around to uploading them to YouTube at some point as well, but right now they're only on our Twitch archive, which is twitch.tv/BigRedBarrel.
So you can join our first outings of our space adventures, so you can catch up and see where we are. We did literally start from the beginning of the game, as Kev hasn't played it.
It's cool, yeah. We saw my first experience in Star Trek Bridge Crew, which, let's say, frankly, scared Tim and Diarmuid. And
you became a bit tyrannical when you were the captain, just saying.
You shouldn't give me power.
Yeah, the power did definitely go to your head.
And then I was channeling my inner Kirk. Not Richard Kirk.
I
then
didn't see you have sex with any space aliens.
Rec Room was an interesting episode because we tried a bunch of things and we found out how terrible we were at virtually everything.
Yes.
Just video games.
Yeah.
Just like life.
Although I did like the disc golf. The disc golf was fun. That was good. More disc golf in the future.
It was fun until that bit towards the end when I started hitting my own shoulder constantly.
Oops.
But anyway, more fun and games. We'll be doing stuff. If you've got any general comments on the episode, do let us know through any of those things. You can also contact us on our personal Twitters as well. Mine is at BRB Tim. Kev's is at Krelith. It's KRELITH. And Diarmuid is Diarmuid_S. And you might need a spelling of Diarmuid, because,
Diarmuid. Boom.
There you go. Boom. Just like that. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been episode 2 of the VRB podcast, a BRB podcast on VR. See what we did there? There we go. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you all soon.
Later.
Bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome. for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.